Humans and animals need plants to survive. Almost all the seed plants in the entire world need to be pollinated. Pollinators are the driving force of the plant world and heavily influence healthy natural habitats and ecosystems. Quite frankly, we can't live without them.
So what is pollen? Pollen is a fine powder produced by flowering plants, trees, grasses, and weeds. Flowers carry the male reproductive cells of seed plants.
A pollinator such as those that we will look at in this video carry pollen from the male part of a flower to the female part of the same or different flower. Pollen must be moved around to fertilize plants that produce fruits, seeds, and young plants.
In this video, you will meet two natural resource professionals who are incredibly passionate about pollinators. We will explore pollinator species in California, their host plants, all-season food sources, tracking pollinators, and backyard practices for pollinator health.
Meet Katie. While also being passionate about pollinators, Katie is a plant guru here in Trinity County. She is a leader in the vegetation management program at the Trinity County RCD.
There are about 1,300 butterflies and moths native to California. 1,600 native bee species that have been recorded. 1,946 different kinds of beetles. We have 174 different kinds of ants, 1,168 kinds of flies, and 14 different hummingbirds. And all of those help pollinate plants, which means that they transfer pollen from a male flower to a female flower. Right here we have a specimen of showy milkweed. It's called Asclepias speciosa, which just basically means super beautiful milkweed plant. It's my favorite. It's probably everyone's favorite. It grows around here, and in the summertime it's beautiful and lush and green. Here's its neighbor, the narrowleaf, Asclepias fascicularis, and they're the two most common found in Trinity County. Milkweed in general is the only plant that monarch butterflies can lay their eggs on. It is a host plant for them specifically. Lots of plants use milkweed for a nectar source or for pollen, but not all of them would only be able to lay their eggs on this plant. So it's super important for the monarch butterfly. If you're looking for a plant that would really benefit pollinators and you see this on your property, you can take care of it, or you can try to grow it from seed. And that's these little brown guys right here. They're super fun to release if you have a need for extra fun and chaos in your life. And if you were to want to plant showy milkweed, this pod right here, not this open one, this is messy. I mean, you could collect seed from this if you wanted to, but it's just so messy. These pods right here are perfect for collection. They've just now split open. All the seeds are inside. You can pop it into a paper bag with no mess. So these are perfect. See the brown seeds inside? And they just come out just like that. So these are host plants, and a host plant is a plant that is a home for the young of animals, or of any kind of animal, but in this case, insects. The monarch butterfly can only lay its eggs, and its caterpillars can only eat this plant. So it's very important to their populations, and it does get mowed quite a bit because it lives in grasslands. So if you have a chance to see this, you can possibly mow around it. Another host plant for a lot of bees, because there are a few different kinds of bees. There's most bees live in the ground in holes. A lot of times they will live in an old rodent hole in the ground, and you'll see yellow jackets flying out of those. It's no fun. But ground bees, 70% of all bees live in the ground, and then 30% thereabout live in tunnels, and they nest in woody material like this. This is elderberry. These are elderberry stalks, and when they die, they have a pithy center which bees use to tunnel away and lay their eggs inside of. So elderberry is another really important host plant in California and in Trinity County specifically. We have a couple other host plants that are really important, like Ceanothus. Ceanothus is a huge host plant for a lot of the different moths and butterflies here. There's the Ceanothus silk moth. You may have seen it. It's huge, red and brown and really soft looking. It lives on Ceanothus. And then there's the buckwheats. There's about 46 different kinds of buckwheats in Trinity County, and they're all host plants to different insects. So there are a lot of different types of host plants, but we don't really have time to talk about all of them right now. Another really important part to the life cycle of pollinating insects is nectar. So they pollinate, they eat pollen, they feed pollen to their young, but they also drink nectar, a lot of them. Milkweed is a great nectar source for not just monarchs. Like almost every insect drinks nectar, and even hummingbirds will drink nectar from milkweed flowers, which are all dried up right now. But a super important and my favorite plant that I like to promote is western goldenrod. It blooms really late in the season, so for monarchs specifically that are migrating here, and we are on the edge of their foraging and breeding habitat, so it takes them almost till the end of the summer to get here. So it's a really important plant for them because it blooms in September, and if you see it, they'll just be all over it. So it's a late season nectar source, which is really critical for the migrating species that come here at that time of year, and for any other bees or wasps or flies that are looking for food that time of year when there's such a scarce amount of it.
Meet Denise. She is a mapping magician at the Trinity County RCD and loves tracking all things pollinators.
Hey Denise, how's it going?
Hi Katie, good, how are you?
Good. What are you doing?
I'm glad you asked. I wanted to come out here today and see if I can gather some more data on the milkweed habitat that we have here.
Awesome.
So, I found this really cool app. Do you want to see it? It's called the Monarch Milkweed Mapper.
Cool.
And what I thought I'd do is take some data on the species here so we can get a better idea of the different habitats that monarchs like in Trinity County.
Awesome.
And so I thought I'd start with this place because I know that this is here. Have you ever seen any monarchs here?
I hadn't seen any this year. No, haven't.
Okay, well, if we take this data, I can put it in this application, and this will actually go to conservation biologists that make maps that show where the habitat for monarchs are ideally suited for. And so
awesome.
so this will give them that data, and then also this can go for you guys too when you make decisions about where milkweed or where to plant milkweed.
Cool. Okay. So you're going to map this milkweed plant right here?
Yes, I'm going to map it right
Awesome.
now on this application. And the cool thing about it is that I don't need to know exactly what type of species this is, but I believe this is narrow leaf milkweed.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is it. It has little narrow leaves and white flowers. These ones are dead though. Yeah.
Cool. So in this application, when I track a species, I don't necessarily need to know the name. There is this little tool here that has pictures in there, and you can just go by the picture and you could upload. So I'm going to, since I don't know the species, I'm going to say that I don't know, and then a box comes up and it has a different color on there, and I say, okay, is this white? Do you know what color this is?
The flower?
Yeah, the flower.
Yeah, the flower is white. I saw it earlier this year, so I know.
Yeah, so I guess if you didn't know, it would be hard to take it at this time of year.
Mm-hmm.
And the other things that it asks, is this considered fruiting right now, or is this plant senescing?
It's right between, and so I think either would be okay.
Okay.
For this one. It has some fruit on it. Fruit is a seed, so it has seeds on it still, and it's releasing them. So I think it's just right at the end of fruit.
What is the best time of year to come out and look for milkweed?
It's a late developer, so it usually doesn't shoot up its stalks, which it shoots new ones up every year until late April or May. It's pretty late, so I would say May, June, or July would be the best times because it's good blooming all throughout that time. And then in August and September is when it starts to make fruit.
Okay, so all you need is a phone and access to the internet, so you can download, or you don't have to download, so you can get onto Milkweed Mapper, and then you take a picture with your camera. As simple as that, we're on the map.
That's
So,
awesome.
yeah, right?
Is this one plant right here, I think? I mean, you're taking it as one plant, I'm assuming?
Good question. So
Yeah.
there is a question on here that asks how many plants
Okay.
are here. So would you consider that one plant?
Yeah, so I know sometimes we count stalks, but if this is just one plant right here, all comes from the same spot, so yeah, one plant.
Okay, so it might ask about the whole community. So would you actually count some of the other plants that are out here?
Yeah, I would. Anything within maybe 100 feet would be considered the same population.
Okay, good
Yeah.
to know.
Yeah.
Sweet. And so you said that you didn't see any monarchs out here. So, somebody might be wondering why it would be a good idea to still go to map it.
Oh yeah, for sure the potential exists, and in years past we have seen some monarchs here, mostly eggs, on the leaves. So yeah, it's definitely important. I would say the potential for them to be here is pretty high. Yeah.
So this mapping application is called Citizen Science. It's a way of getting data to conservation biologists that actually will use it at Xerces, which is they are monarch habitat specialists.
Wow,
so
cool.
They'll get that data, and then not only that, we can download that data too. So any of the resource managers can use it. And
Citizen science, that's awesome.
Citizen Science. And one more cool thing is that I got a bunch of data on elevation, precipitation, and things like that that shows where this species is more likely to grow, and I have that map here. And so I put it into Avenza,
Oh, cool.
which we have these maps at the RCD now.
There's a few colors there.
There's a few colors. This shows that this is not actually, this habitat is not really highly correlated to this species. So do you have any comments for people about that? Because what I would do is I would take this map, and myself, if I wanted to find out where monarch habitat or milkweed species might be growing, I would take this, I'd put it into my Avenza app, and I would look for these places, and that's where I would know to go to look for monarchs. But this shows that it's not highly correlated here. So what would
You know what? I think we just need more data. I think that's what it really is. It comes down to that's a range of where they might occur, but it's by no means defining the range in every case. So there might have been a time when this was drier here, or wetter, or more shaded in the past, and that there could be reasons why it's not coming up as a good habitat for narrowleaf milkweed. But this is not planted, so it's definitely naturally occurring here. And if you look around, it's actually all around us, so it's definitely established. These plants take at least 3 to 5 years to establish, so it's been here for some time. So
Yeah, well, thanks, Katie. The great news is that anybody can do the citizen science applications. And
that's awesome.
I appreciate
What's the
your time.
name of the apps again that you were using?
So this is Avenza, and
Cool.
the maps are available to upload through the RCD if somebody reaches out for that. And then the other one is the Western Milkweed Mapper.
Trinity County Resource Conservation District. Awesome. Thanks, Denise.
Yeah, thanks.
There are a few simple steps you can take at home to make your backyard pollinator friendly. First, plant native flowers. All of the native flowers featured in this video are great options for planting in your backyard. Pollinators like nectar-rich flowers that bloom at different times of the year. Try to plant flowers in a single area that range in shape, size, and color to attract pollinators.
The Trinity County RCD is home to a native plant nursery. Most of these plants are sourced from local seeds and cuttings to protect local plant genetics. The plants we grow are mostly used for revegetation projects. Contact us to learn more about sourcing and growing native plants in your backyard. Second, leave weeds. Many plants that are considered weeds are loved by pollinators. Limit your use of pesticides in your garden. These chemicals are deadly to pollinators and other living beings such as animals. Pesticides also pollute soil and groundwater.
Lastly, make a butterfly bath. Butterflies and insects use their straw-like tongue, called a proboscis, to suck up water and nutrients from moist areas. This behavior is called mud puddling, or just puddling. Create a patch of mud or a puddle of water with rocks for the butterflies to perch on.
butterfly is flapping, birds all walking.